Have a buyer you need pre-approved? Well, the Brian Manning team is available 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we can close as quickly as 10 days. Call me anytime, 303-500-3839.
Balance isn't about standing still. It's not about splitting time perfectly between work and life. That's a myth. Real balance is momentum. It's knowing when to lean in, when to step back, and how to stay in control when everything is moving fast. Brian Manning built his success by rejecting the outdated idea of balance and embracing something better, alignment. The ability to go all in on big goals without losing what matters most. This is Balance in Motion, a new way of thinking, a new way of living. Because the people who achieve the most aren't looking for balance. They're mastering the flow. Let's get into it.
Welcome back, everyone. Balance in Motion podcast. Super excited to be here today. We are always talking about the struggles that people have with high producing careers, work, entrepreneurs, and balancing personal life and families. And I just think it's so many people are struggling to really check all those boxes and accomplish everything. And our goal here is to talk with people that are in our community, high producers, and, experiencing a lot of the similar struggles that we're all experiencing on a daily basis. Today's guest, I'm really excited for, is Chris Martinez. He's the team lead at the Noel Martinez team with Remax Alliance here in Colorado. He's been in the real estate business for 15 years. I'm excited because he worked his way up from being an admin role to great successful realtor and team lead. So I'm really pumped to hear his story and how he progressed through this career and really got here. Outside of real estate, I know he's got a wonderful family, active in theater, kids baseball, all kinds of good stuff. So Chris, welcome. And thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thanks, Brian. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. So I always like to go back to the beginning, before you were a realtor, before you moved to Colorado, and just really learn, where'd you come from? More about you. Tell us a little bit of where you grew up and your backstory and childhood and, just some of the things that shaped you a little bit to where you are today.
Absolutely. I mean, how much time do you have, right? I mean, this is a book that's in the works right now. Well, I was born and raised in South Texas. I was pretty much the baby of the family at that time. I have an older sibling, but he's 13 years younger than me. So I was always the one who was kind of looking up to my elders, and all my family was older than me. And so I just always watched them. I was always a very curious kid, trying to see what they did, how they did it. And, I was always, learning from them and growing from them. And I wasn't just watching, my elders and my family, especially my grandparents, but I was also watching other kids and seeing how they interacted and how they did things, because it was much different than what I was used to, because I was the youngest. And so I was never really exposed to a lot of younger kids at that time. But growing up in South Texas and really being with my grandparents, my grandmother especially on my mom's side, she really just taught me a lot about just respecting other people and holding the door open and calling people yes sir, yes ma'am, all that type of stuff. Unfortunately, being a Texan, even though I've been in Colorado 18 years now, I still have a lot of those tendencies, and a lot of people are kind of thrown aback a lot of times with just how I say things. Yes ma'am, yes sir. But I think that's just a testament of who I am and the respect that I show to other people. And I think that's really a big thing that I learned growing up, is you have to respect other people for them to respect you, and so it goes both ways. And so you need to treat everybody with the same respect that you want to be treated with. And that's just how I've always been raised. That's how I'm just wired for it. I think that was a big part of my childhood, was just making sure that I was around my elders a lot, and just, as I said, respecting and listening to what they had to say.
And was there something that happened at the young age that you realized oh shit, this is what disrespect looks like. And I really don't like this. And when I see how other people are treated with great respect, was there anything that happened at a younger age
Yeah.
where it just really made it solidify how important please and thank you? And it just almost seems like it's lost in today's society.
Absolutely. So when I was a young kid, let me back up. I went to an elementary school in Corpus Christi, Texas. It was really large, really big. But then in the 6th and 7th grade, I moved to small town George West. It's in South Texas. Just lots of different reasons why. But I remember one of the first days in class in the 6th grade. my reading teacher, her name was Mrs. Reed. I always remember that. I did not say yes, ma'am. And she stopped the whole class, like, came up to my desk and said, "It is yes, ma'am from now on. And whenever you talk to somebody else, it's yes, sir." And that was a very big thing. And I remember telling my grandma who picked me up after school, she's like, "Well, duh." you know, that's what you're supposed to do. But the small town aspect of it really just brought everything together for me. So that was a real form. And I mean, talk about being singled out in front of 20 other kids in a small town. You're never going to do anything quite like that again. So I mean, I even got picked on a little bit too that day, but I would say that was a good moment that I will never forget.
It's crazy how I'm going to say little moments, but it's obviously not little because it's embarrassing and you're young and you're
Mhm.
very formidable at that age in front of a classroom of 20 kids. But it's always so incredible how a very short interaction with someone can really have such an impact on the rest of your life like that as a young person. It's incredible.
Absolutely, because I mean, the thing is that I'm a people pleaser, and so, whenever I'm not pleasing somebody like that or I make them upset, that really gets to my core. So,
Mhm.
I wanna make sure that I don't do that again.
Yeah, I will tell you this, and this podcast is about you. It's not about me. But one of my biggest pet peeves is, you're at the store and you hold the door open for someone to let them walk in, and they don't even look at you or acknowledge you or say thank you or nothing.
Mhm.
And it just makes it is what it is. You don't take it personal, but it just blows me away. The lack of not having acknowledgement, even for something so simple like that out there. I guess it
Oh,
is what it
absolutely. I
is.
mean, even when, you let a car in, when you're letting somebody in, you're waving them over, you don't even get, like, a little wave or anything anymore, and if you do, hey, I
Yep.
smile when I see that, because I
And
just
have
like to be treated the way I treat other people, right?
for sure. And how about your kids? So is this a tone in the household now? I mean, not that they have to
Oh,
call,
yeah.
you and but in general, the mannerisms
Yeah, I mean, I don't really make them say, "Yes, sir," "Yes, ma'am," a lot. I mean, I try to just lead by example in that aspect. Both of my kids do say, "Yes, sir," "Yes, ma'am," probably a little bit more when they are, around other people more than mom and dad all the time, but, they are catching on, but it was more being of, leading by example.
for sure. And looking back at
Mhm,
your upbringing and just being so influenced by the elders in your family and other people,
mhm.
was there anything from back then that you really think has shaped the way that you work today? You're a really hardworking person. You own a great, successful business. For some people, work ethic and motivation is, really just naturally there, and other people learned it from someone else, elders, et cetera. Was there any people that surrounded you when you were younger that kind of shaped this today?
And yeah, I mean, most of my family grew up in a lower middle class family. I mean, we didn't have much. I mean, my vacation was going to Schlitterbahn, which is a water park in New Braunfels, Texas. I mean, that was my summer vacation. We didn't go out of state. We didn't do anything. We didn't get on a plane like I can go to Arizona and watch the Rockies play spring ball. Didn't do anything like that. And so my biggest motivation was, hey, I want to work my way up. That kind of that classic American dream, right? Seeing my dad trying to, try to do better for this family. He was always trying to do better for us. Same thing with my mom. And saw that with my uncles and my aunts. It was never quite enough. And so what
Mhm.
they were doing wasn't quite enough, even though they were working hard, they were loving their family, supporting their family. They were trying to do a little bit more to not just make ends meet. And once a few of them got successful, i.e., my uncle, so my mom's brother, as soon as he started getting successful, he really instilled a passion for me that, yeah, if you're just an honest guy and you work hard and you work for it, you can get there. And I saw him do it, and I saw him be respected in his field. And as I mean, somebody who it's like another father to me, just growing up. I mean, I wanted to emulate him. I truly did. I wanted to emulate my uncle and everything that he did and he stood for, and as a family man. And I would say that he is the one. Other than, I mean, there's so many different people. I can't just pinpoint one person, but my uncle was the one who I saw it immediately in my family. How he was successful, and then he also paid it back to his family as well in terms of taking care of them, helping out with trips, getting people like flying me down when I'm 23 years old 24 years old, back to Texas to come see the family. And so he but that's why he was taught though too by one of his uncles as well. So he always wanted to pay it forward. And there's so many great memories that I have of just little special moments that he has like with me that I just want to pay it forward to everybody else too. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. It's so interesting to me to hear people's stories and what impacted them and what really formed you towards being the person that you are today. And it's so thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
are you an investor that does fix and flips, or are you a realtor that has clients that do fix and flips? Well, I can help you make a cash offer, and we can close as quickly as 7 days. To learn more about our private hard money lending, call me anytime, 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 303-500-3839. At some point in time, I think you went off to college. So where'd you go to school? And
Yeah.
or did you go to
I went
school?
to, I got my, I did go to school, and
Okay.
I got my undergraduate degree at Texas Lutheran University in Seguin, Texas. That's just east of San Antonio, south of Austin. And I actually got my degree in dramatic media, which is kind of a communications theater degree. And so it was kind of a cutting edge thing at the time of using, video in terms of theatrical stuff and also, doing film projects and things of that manner. And then I got my graduate degree. I got my Master of Science in theater education, believe it or not, at Texas A&M University in Commerce. I think it's something else now. I'm not really sure. These colleges keep changing their names, but I had some really great professors there. My intention originally, back in the day, was what I wanted to do was children's theater. I wanted to run a children's theater because I thought it would be a great way for kids to, grow and understand their own personalities and help them, be good people. And so I've always liked that aspect, and that's why I'm still involved with the theater. However, when I got out of college, that's when the recession was in full blown hit, and nobody could find a job anywhere. So we just did anything we could to try to make ends meet, and taking any job that I could because that's what I've been raised to do. And so yeah, that's it's kind of what happened with colleges. So there you go.
And what's your current level of involvement? You said you're still in theater at some level. So what's the involvement now? And I remember seeing something on Facebook a little while ago of a production that you were a part of as well. Is
Mhm.
that correct? Yeah. So what's
That
the
is
involvement
correct. So
there?
yeah, I've been involved with the Longmont Theater Company here in Longmont, Colorado for the past 15, almost 16 years now. It was a way to, explore my outlets something that I love to do. And I wanted to be a part of another theater community while not being in Texas. And I stumbled upon this place, met some very wonderful people who essentially have become my extended family here. And there was a little brief hiatus while I was away from the theater for a couple of years, but we're back in full force. I was just in the production of The Odd Couple. I played Oscar Madison, the slob in the relationship with Felix Unger. That production was actually supposed to take place in 2020, but COVID hit right when, like a few weeks before we were supposed to perform. So it was really neat being able to get back on the stage with the same cast that we had in 2020 to put it on for the people here in Longmont, Colorado. So yeah.
That's exciting. So you said you've been working with them for about 15 years and you moved to
hmm
Colorado 18 years ago. So it
hmm
didn't seem like it was that long after you got here where you reconnected with them. What was the draw to move to Colorado?
So my wife and I had just gotten married at the time, and my entire family is from Texas. My wife is from Iowa, and her entire family's from Iowa. So rather than just picking one state or the other and irritating one, we decided to irritate both of them, and we landed in Colorado. And it was kind of like throwing a dart at a U.S. map, but we kind of knew. I was looking at a lot of stats on which states are going to be the best to live in after the recession, and so Colorado was one of them. And then the other one was Minnesota, and I was like, no, I'm not. We're not moving to Minnesota. It's too cold up there. So we came out to Colorado. I have some family here. Visited and said, all right, let's do it. And so we've been here ever since.
So that was 18 years ago. And then 15 years ago, you started in real estate. And it sounds like you
Mhm.
started as an admin there. So being in real estate, especially now, is very entrepreneurial. Have you always had that entrepreneurial aspect in you from being a young person? Or did it not resonate with you naturally into something you had to like really figure out and force yourself to grow into?
It's a good question. I mean, I think first and foremost, I really didn't know anything about real estate when I got into the admin role. I didn't have a clue. We had bought a house, but I was just like any other first time home buyer. I had really no idea. I was really relying on the help of my realtor at the time to get us through that transaction. And that was with the first time homebuyers tax credit that we got from George Bush. So we got the $8,000 tax credit. So I was able to be able to buy our first home that way with little, like, no money in our pocket. But
Yep.
that's just catapulted us up from there. We had to take that risk. So, but being in real estate, I had no idea what, realtors actually did. And working in the office, I got to meet so many people and so many experienced realtors, and got to see what they did and how they did it, and how, they could make a good living doing it, but you have to work hard to do it. And so actually a few of the other realtors in the office said, Chris, you shouldn't be behind this desk. You should be out there talking with people. You'd be a great realtor. And that kind of inspired me. I didn't know if they're just stroking my ego or just telling me I was doing a good job. But I was having a kid. My son was, oof, my wife was pregnant when I first started as an admin. And so I was looking for a way to support my family. And I was seeing, what some of these realtors were bringing in, and I was thinking, "Oh, shoot, man, that's a heck of a lot more money than I'm making right now." But there is also just a humongous risk. So my wife and I talked about it a lot, and ultimately, I was able to work with a couple of different real estate teams. One was with Stephen Noel, and after joining their team and working and seeing how they worked, everything just kind of fit in place. Like, it just made sense for me. Now, that entrepreneurial spirit really came when they let me start trying to do my own things and help them grow their business. And what I was seeing is that, it was good. It was a good asset. We were working with each other. It wasn't like, hey, I'm just, their assistant or their underling. No, it was a team aspect. And because of that, it was a very fruitful relationship, because they were seeing their business pick up, not just with Stephen, but with the other agents that I worked with as well. But then I was given the opportunity to work full time with Stephen Noel, and I just jumped on that because, I mean, Stephen is a figure in himself. He has been in real estate since 1976, and he is a powerhouse. He's very intimidating. He can be, but he's also a big teddy bear. But I saw how successful he was, and I've always liked that expression of, do you want to be a big fish in a small pond, or you want to be, a small fish in a big pond, you know? And I wanted to be that. I wanted to be that small fish, and I wanted to be around that big fish in that big pond too, And so he's been able to really teach me a lot, but also I've been able to help him, and that's how that relationship just blossomed. And every day, I don't not thank him in some sort of thought that I have, just because of everything that he's done and taught me. But that's kind of how it's evolved. I didn't really have, I don't want to say an entrepreneurial spirit to begin with, but it's absolutely evolved to where that's what I do every day. And I absolutely love doing it. And that's just kind of how I work. I evolve into things and I kind of grow into them. And that's why I think that I'm successful with that aspect.
That's awesome. And was there, at what point did you think to yourself, "Oh my gosh, I can actually do this. I can actually, I can make a career out of being a realtor." Because there's a leap, there's a risk in the beginning where you're just like, "Holy shit, I don't know if this is gonna work
Huge
or
leap,
not," you
huge
know?
risk. It's probably 2014, 2015, about 10, 11 years ago, when I really felt that I could do more, because that's when everything started snowballing for me. So, of course, I'm working with a top real estate agent in the area, but then I'm also garnering my own business. And I'm also learning from Steven at the same time and growing my own business. So I was making a lot more money at that time. And then from there, it just snowballed, as I said. And so that was about 10, 11 years ago. And that's just the confidence that you get after your first couple of closings that you've cultivated from the very beginning and get to the closing table. And after you've done that, it feels like it's just a natural part of your life, to be honest.
That's awesome. I love it. So
Mhm.
now you're team lead. So you have wife, kids, thriving business, involvement in the Longmont Theater Company. You got a
Mhm.
lot of irons in the fire. So, now life gets busy. So how do you manage all of that? And how do you you want to be at your kids' games, at their activities. You have
Mhm.
people calling you for listings. You want to be at the theater. It's a lot. So what does that look like?
It's a nightmare. No. But it
I
can be. I
mean,
mean,
that
it
is the reality of it.
it's
It's hard.
well, it's not supposed to be easy, right? That's the thing. Life is not supposed to be easy, and this is not supposed to be easy, but you need to do what you're passionate about. And you also need to make sure that you take care of your family, from your wife to your children to your extended family. You have to. So you make it a priority. So you have to prioritize, and there's a lot of prioritizing that you're going to have to do. But what I do, of course, like everybody else, I have my own calendar. I have a Google Calendar that I use for my personal that's mixed with my business. And whenever I have, say I have my daughter, she's in a couple of plays right now. Whenever she has rehearsals or I have to pick her up, I always block that time out. And that is, that's an appointment that I already have. Same thing with my son with his baseball. And if my wife has, bunko or whatnot, I make sure I always block out all those times because, hey, that's important to them. And I want to make sure that I am supporting every aspect of that. I like to make sure that I also get a little bit of me time in, but I understand though too with a theater, if I want to be in productions, it takes a lot out of you. It's a good 2 months. You're at the theater pretty much every night from 7 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night. And so, and then on the weekend, you're building the sets. It's draining. So the best time for me to do that is actually in our kind of our colder months here in Colorado, because not as much is going on. So generally right around the holidays or the first part of the year. But having to balance it, you just have to make sure that you're also delegating tasks to others, having to let go of the things that you normally did, especially as a team lead. I have to just delegate that stuff out to the people that work with me, and I have to trust them to know that they're getting the job done as they've been instructed, or even better, because that's what I want. I want of them. I want them to be very initiative. So a big part of the success isn't just by myself, it's the people that I surround myself with. And you want to make sure that you surround yourself with like-minded people. And so that helps with the work-life balance, is making sure that everyone, is working, like many hands do light work. I think that's what the saying is, or something very similar to that. So that way you're not over, doing yourself. You're spreading the work out. And if I didn't have the people that help me out and that work with me, because I almost consider them like family too, because you got to say the good things and you got to say the bad things. But if I didn't have them, I would be burned out and I would not be successful as I am today.
Yeah. So a couple of takeaways there. First one is it sounds like you're scheduling the big rocks. You're just getting the family
Mhm.
stuff in your calendar. It's just like
Yep.
any other appointment. I've said for years, it's like a listing appointment. You would never put a listing appointment in your calendar and not show up at it. And it's
Right.
just scheduling that stuff from the beginning and then taking time for yourself. So theater, 7 to 10 p.m. So that sounds exhausting, even when you do it in the winter months. But like, where does the recharge come from there? Is it actually the show being, the energy, the rush you get from being at the production? Is it the camaraderie of people being around you? Because what makes you keep going back to that?
Well, part of it is just my background of my education experience and my degrees that I have. That is absolutely part of it. That's a part of just who I will always be. Additionally, as I told you, that a lot of the theater, especially people I work with, are like extended family, and so of course, I don't want to let them down either. At the same time, they understand my other obligations. They understand my other commitments. But what do I get from it? I mean, I think I get a sense of I don't know, purpose. I feel fulfilled. I feel fulfilled. How about that?
Got it.
And because it's not just about me, it's about the entire production from the very top to the very bottom. I mean, you're working with people that are all doing this voluntarily, and we're all working together to make something that's pretty magical and pretty fun to be a part of. And so, I mean, yeah, of course, you always have the parties afterward of the celebrations and of just having a good run. But at the same time, that's just a part of the process, and just fulfilling that entire process is very rewarding for me. And it rewards me not just because I did it, but because I also helped and inspired other people too.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
And what are you working on right now that you're super excited about?
Well, other than, of course, making sure my hair doesn't fall out and that I'm not getting any grayer, Some things that we're working on, we're continuing to keep working on is just our operations support local. So that's with our real estate group. We're just trying to really push local businesses here in the community in Longmont specifically, trying to do like reels for them, try to get them to do, things like this where they are just being put out in the public. And so they may not have the marketing dollars or the marketing know-how to do these things. And just making sure that they are being recognized for everything that they're doing in this community. Additionally, of course, we're my goal for this year, a big thing is just, hey, make more connections, right? So that's my big thing. Make more connections. Can be with people that you don't know, especially or friends of friends, people that you know but don't know. Get in touch with them. Start talking to them. Be their friend, because hey, that's a big part of this business is instilling trust into others in what you do. And so that's another aspect. So helping the community and just being more a part of it, and making more friends.
I love it. So we'll close on that. So 2026 is all about making new friends, being part of your community, and making new
Hmm.
connections. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
I always feel that what goes around comes around, right? And so if you put the work ethic in, if you put your work into it, it'll come back. You may hit some rough patches, but you'll get through it. The road is not always straight and narrow. Sometimes it's bumpy, it's rocky, it's curves, but you just have to keep going down that path. And you gotta take, the next curve as what it is. As long as you keep your mind focused and you have a goal that you want to do, then do it. But it takes one day at a time.
That's awesome. I love it. I really
Mhm,
started doing this podcast because the reality is that life is hard. It's a struggle when you're trying to keep everything together, regardless of what it is, personal life, business, et cetera. It's just hard. And I
mhm,
really want to just hear people's stories, learn about what they're doing, and really also learn, about how they're finding fulfillment in life as well, and trying to get everything in flow and work it out together. So this has really been wonderful for hearing your story and about your elders and involvement in theater and
mhm.
Stephen Noel. And I can't thank you enough, Chris, for your time. It's been really wonderful talking with you today. And thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Appreciate you and everything that you do with the community as well.
My pleasure.